Okay, so the world feels a little crazy right now, doesn't it? With all the economic and political turmoil, you have to ask yourself, how do we actually secure our wealth and make sure our future is safe? Today, we're breaking down the strategy for protecting what's yours in an age of, well, unprecedented uncertainty. Let's dive right in.
Let's kick things off with a pretty stark warning from military strategist Douglas McGregor. He's not mincing words here. He says a storm is coming, a terrible storm, and it's gathering strength just over the horizon. Now, this isn't about scaring anyone. It's about waking up and realizing we need to prepare.
So, that naturally leads us to the big question, right? When the very foundations of the global system feel like they're shaking, what can we actually do? What are the practical steps we can take, both as individuals and as a nation, to build a fortress around our assets? Let's explore some answers.
All right, first things first, we've got to understand what we're up against. And here's the thing. The biggest danger isn't just one single event. It's this tangled, complicated web of dependencies that has left the entire world incredibly fragile.
And right at the center of all this financial shakiness is a term you might be hearing more about: de-dollarization. You see, for decades, pretty much everything in global trade ran on the US dollar. It was the default. But as that gets used for leverage and sanctions, other nations are actively looking for a way out. This shift is shaking the very foundations of the global financial system, and that directly threatens the value of your savings, your money.
And just look at how all these weak spots are connected. It's like a domino effect. A financial crisis happens, and boom, it hits the food supply. An energy disruption, say a conflict in a key shipping lane, doesn't just cut off oil, it stops fertilizer from moving, which means food can't be grown. These are not separate problems, they're all part of one giant, systemic risk. This really gets to the heart of the matter. When we rely on these long, complex global supply chains, we're basically gambling with our security. You know, a political squabble halfway across the planet could mean empty shelves in our own stores. The alternative? Building our own resilient domestic supply chains, the kind we can actually control. Okay, so if being dependent is the big problem, what's the answer? Well, it boils down to one powerful idea: sovereignty. Think of it as our ultimate shield against this coming storm.
So what is resource sovereignty? Simply put, it means we're not held hostage by anyone. It's the power to mine our own minerals, grow our own food, produce our own energy, all without needing a permission slip from another nation. It's about fundamental self-preservation and taking back control of our own destiny. And it's really important to get this. Sovereignty isn't just some big, abstract government thing. It works on two levels. Yeah, on the national level, it means big infrastructure projects. But it's also incredibly personal. It's about what you can do right now to secure your own family's future. Okay, let's bring this right down to earth. Let's get super practical. How can you take these ideas and use them to build your own personal asset fortress? A way to protect your savings and your family's wealth. All right, here's your defensive playbook. The strategy here is all about investing in things you can physically touch, things that have real, intrinsic value, way beyond a number on a computer screen. We're talking about precious metals like gold and silver, which have held their value for thousands of years. We're talking about food, which isn't just an investment, it's your lifeline. And of course, energy and other resources, anything that comes out of the ground will always be in demand. So, this is kind of what a defensive portfolio could look like. Just take a look. Notice how the huge majority of it is in physical, tangible stuff. The whole idea is to shift away from paper promises and towards real-world security. That little slice of cash, that's for everyday needs, sure, but the real wealth, the fortress, is built on hard assets. Now, getting your own house in order is absolutely crucial, but it's really only half the battle. Because at the end of the day, your personal security is deeply tied to national security. To be truly safe, we also need to be part of a resilient, independent nation.
Get a load of this number. It's just staggering. According to McGregor, a whopping 90 to 95% of the world's refined rare earth minerals, and this is the stuff that's critical for everything from our phones to our defense systems, comes from one single region. That is a massive, massive strategic vulnerability.
And that is exactly why building our own domestic infrastructure isn't just some economic plan. It is a matter of national security. The crazy thing is, we have the raw materials here. The missing piece is the infrastructure, the refineries, the supply chains, the transportation, to turn those raw materials into what we need, right here at home. You know, it all really boils down to this one simple, powerful idea. We must be sovereign with our own resources. Because without that control, any foundation we try to build for our economy, for our security, well, it's just built on sand. So we'll leave you with this question to really think about. The storm that McGregor is warning us about, it's a storm of dependence, of fragility. And the shelter from that storm? It's sovereignty. A shelter you build personally with hard assets, and that we build nationally with self-reliance. The only real question left is, have we started building yet?